Hello, welcome to this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome. Welcome back if you have. My intention is unity and oneness, the highest levels of love light. I'm just going to go into a little flow, light language, and kind of see where it goes. I think this is also going to be perhaps a little energy update, but this is meant to be felt, not necessarily understood on a linear basis, although there may be some information that comes through that is pertinent to what's going on in the world or in our own world or in the quantum world, so to speak. Some of the words I say are so to speak. I say that a lot because it's really can be taken in many different directions. So it's just one form of the speech patterns in which I'm tapping into, so to speak. I want to back up and say I haven't caught up on comments yet, so I'll be hopefully catching up on those very soon. I have some emails I still am working on catching up on. If you've booked a session, and that I'm catching up on those this week as well. So I just wanted to put that out there. So thank you for your patience. Ko e estea o kuno e te au kua hau unu a te a. Yau. I'm just waking up too, so warming up the vocal cords. Kur esto or ke ok or it ishtak ak or te estok or te estaurok or it ok or ista or it hat estan ak ira. Breathing in and out, and we are all tapping into higher bandwidths. How we choose to access these vary from person to person. What we choose to do with these access points, with the information, the activations, the realizations is up to us. For we are a network of undivided yet undeniable individuality on a complex whole equation that maps out through the extrasensory network, connecting into the higher parallel bandwidths and beyond. How we choose to play with these bandwidths, what instrument we choose to play in this, the instrumental usage of our gifts and abilities, what instruments we choose to bring to the band, so to speak, are within our own computational, so to speak, skin suits and beyond. So I'm being guided just to say briefly, think of us as supercomputers. Yet this is not meant to be pulled in with some type of artificial. We are organic supercomputers. Supercomputers were created based off of our knowingness, our knowledge, which were then created by man and humanity and mankind. So this is beyond that technology. We are living technology. Our codes that we are accessing are being pulled through our own framework. But a lot of the words I'm speaking here can be used interchangeably with our connection to the super consciousness, supercomputer, the field, and beyond. So what I'm seeing is we're pulling it through our actions, through our dance, our artwork, our conversation, our ahas, our connecting and coming together. And two of the blogs I'll be posting this week I'll talk about are very much talking about how we were created from one perspective to infiltrate this matrix, so to speak. And that's one version of reality. There's so many other reasons. The biggest reason that I'm seeing is that we are connected to creative source. So we are essentially creative source incarnate embodiment in physical form, bringing into physicality, calling it in, right, into our world. So we are creating and birthing our reality, for we are calling in, as in casting our own spell, so to speak, on the reality that we exist in interchangeably as well. And all of this has changed, not only in the way that we communicate with one another, not only in the way that we are accessing these higher capabilities, yet it also has changed in the form, in the information. All has opened and expanded to such a level that many are having difficulty recognizing differentiation between the old and the new, so to speak, recognizing that we are pulling from the old and using the baseline currency to create a new reality. This is also referencing back to all of the times I've shared that we're not here to destroy, we're not here to break things, although we are, from one perspective, to break apart, break away from the density and the limiting systems, so to speak. But we are utilizing a lot of those pieces and we're pulling them through into our new reality. So it's almost like when you take a school bus and you refurbish it. You're using the shell of the school bus, but you're pulling out all the old seats, all the old molders, taking off the tires, and you're using the shell. And from that shell, we're creating a cool, brand new, yet old ride, right? Or house, or however you want to look at it. And we are all parts of the whole. We are all in this space of creating, utilizing all together what it is that we have come here to, I'm seeing, create, express, communicate. We have much yet to unpackage, so to speak. There is much that is still being unpackaged from our presentation, from our gifts and abilities. We invite you to enter into your own space of well-being, finding the diet that encompasses your feeling of comfort and expansion. I'm seeing like the digestive system. I'm seeing a reference to, if really pay attention to what foods are making us feel what way. I dreamed last night that I was eating grapes, and they were grown from the earth. They were from my garden, and I was eating the seeds as well, crunching on them, and they were delicious in my dream. And then my husband and I went and we opened up a package of like tasty cakes in the second portion of my dream, and they were awful. They tasted like nothing, which that's in my skin suit now. I'm like, ooh, tasty cakes. Those are awesome. They're chocolatey, delicious. But in my dream, it was like, no, that's not what you need right now. In addition to that, I've been dreaming about migration, this mass migration. And we'll get to that in a different, but just thought I'd throw that out there. For our patterns within our body are reflecting that which is sourced, which we are in the process of resourcing. So it's creating a higher attuning to our higher mechanisms for deeper self-knowing. The advancements that we are making technologically are also important to tune into, for it tells us the direction we are headed as a society. If we are tuning into certain subject matter, we will see that much is unfolding behind the scenes. So I'm being guided to talk a little bit about that. As you guys know, certain phishing systems and cookies and all that, they monitor what it is that we look at and we look up online. So you'll get ads that are catered to your tastes, speaking of. So this is kind of an inflow statement. So for example, I look up a lot of information about physics and astrology or earth changes because of the dreams I have or because of the things I'm writing about. Therefore, it continues to feed into my feed, my news feed. I don't pay attention. I'd say maybe a couple of times a week, I'll check in with somebody who I feel is a reliable source of information about all the things that are going on in the world, right? The world stage. But most of the time, the information that comes through that I look at is stuff about science. And there's stories that are coming in about the world. Time is speeding up. We know that in the lightworker community. But for them to be saying that on Science Daily, what? That's cool. That's not on the news. Or the fact that they're saying that Earth is going faster in general. The rotational spin is going faster. They're not talking about that on the news, right? And a lot of these stories that are coming through from physics.org or whatever website it is, I'm just throwing these different places out there. And not all of it is 100% accurate. I will see something and I'll be like, I call it false fishing. It's like it's a bait, it's trying to get me to hook into it. So I look at it and I go, that's interesting, but I'm not going to go there. And the reason is because, my point is that I want to get back to is that there's a lot of really cool things and inventions that are happening behind the scenes that have been going on for a long time, but we're not hearing about it. And so there's just so much going on that if we tune into that more of that will come into our awareness. And so let me get back into flow. I'm hearing 10 different things at once. As we strap in, as we step up, as we connect in, I'm seeing like the strata and I'm seeing the bandwidths again. We allow ourselves to fine tune our frequency pattern, our frequency harmonics through that which we are feeling. Our feelings are a monitor, if you will, to tell us where we are at in our, I'm hearing equanimity. So equanimity, our value, geometry, I could go to several different words. So how are we feeling when we eat that tasty cake? I know it seems so simple, but I mean, really this week I was like, okay, I need to take a break. I haven't been very good because my body isn't feeling the way that it should. So I have my smoothie going that I was like, it's time. And oftentimes when there's things going on in our lives that are pulling us out of our own knowledge of what it takes for us to feel good, we disconnect. We forget. Our parasympathetic system takes over. Our habitual patterns take over. We stop listening to our better sense. We don't feel our gut telling us or our heart telling us, this is not what you need right now until we've already consumed it. And this has to do with not just food. This is television. This is hanging out with certain people that we know we need to take a break from. Particular subject matters that we've basically absorbed all we can absorb, and our body or our feelings, I'm hearing tachometer, so our heart especially, telling us this is not the direction that is going to make us feel the most expanded. This is making us feel full and heavy. And sometimes we needed to walk away or take a break. And this goes back to what I was saying. Oh, did I say this earlier? Or was I writing about it? Oh, not breaking things up. Sometimes we have to break things apart so that we can allow that which isn't part of our whole complex structure, the Band-Aids, I'm seeing the bubble gum, like I'm seeing the pieces do you remember that show Maverick? It's like Maverick, was it Maverick? My parents watched that, I think. Anyways, he would like piece things together with the piece of gum to fix like an engine. But that's all breaking apart, and all those little bits that have been holding things together are falling through the cracks. And we're filling that space by us communicating with one another, with our bodies, with source. And we can't do that if we are trying to hold on to the bubble gum or the Band-Aid. right? The glue. We're like, no, we need to put that back together. I need to fix this. I need to do, no. Sometimes it's not about that. And I'm being guided to go into flow about this mass migration. So many of us are being asked to move on. Many are moving on in the physical form, beyond the physical form. Yet those of us that are choosing to stay in physical form are creating the mapping system that the others who are unaware of the choices that they are able to make concrete, so to speak, that they are in the process of concurring with for their, I'm hearing they're closing out an old chapter of a book, and now they're trying to figure out what the next book is, who they need to agree with, not recognizing that their agreement, I'm seeing so many plays on words with this, agreement. I'm hearing there's a lot of grieving going on, aggravation, agreement, aggravation, aggrieving, and that we as this community are holding that space. It literally looks like a web. And so we're vibrating this web, and it's reaching out through the network, and all the holes and all the little spots where the bubble gum and the Band-Aid fell out crack open, and we fill that web with our light. And it doesn't mean we're always in sunshine and rainbows. I always talk about this. It means we're filling it with our moments to moments of holding bliss, encoded with our frequency of light. It means we might be holding it with our space of forgiveness. Another person might be holding it with their space in that moment of creating beautiful artwork. Another person might be teaching a class on movement, and that ripples out. We all have these gifts. I'm getting emotional. And recognizing that we don't have to have all of the gifts right now. That's really important. I do this sometimes, like, I want to do that, and I want to do that, and how come I'm not doing it this way and that way? And it is fun, but for me, always looking, yes, it keeps me motivated on a linear level, but on a bigger scale, I have access to all of that. But that may not be what I need access to right now. I need to access what makes my own, I'm hearing everybody tick-tock. What makes us feel, what makes us click into place? What makes us feel there's no place like home, right? What makes us feel at home in our bodies? What makes us feel good on a regular basis? And I'm hearing an irregular consistency. So it might be something that we don't do regularly, but we need to start adding it as a more consistent pattern to help us to support ourselves and then supporting one another. Kind of went into 5 different tangents there. So I'm seeing this reference to clicking into place, and this is helping us hold space for those that are unable to find their patterns, if that makes sense. And so as we access these deeper potentials, we find ourselves communicating on a deeper cellular level, not only with our bodies, but also with Mother Earth and with one another. Many of us are being called to different places on the earth right now, and this has been a long time coming. For there are many who have already gone on these adventures and have brought those pieces back to where they are currently hearing laying down, holding together those lines of geometrical forces. And I'm seeing geometries, like they're branching out because somebody just came back from Egypt. They're pulling that energy and connecting it, all of the grid workers, light workers, so on and so forth. What I'm also being guided to tell you and share is it doesn't mean you have to go there to bring those codes into your body. You can actually hold your hands over a photograph. You can meditate with a photograph of that place. You can order a crystal and ask to connect with that energy of your home base. If that's what you're feeling guided to do, I just want to share. Because for a lot of people, they're unable to travel right now for whatever the reason is. And that I'm hearing, again, ain't nothing gonna break my stride. Ain't nothing gonna slow me down. That doesn't matter. You're not gonna, like, you have this desire to go to Egypt, but you just aren't able to, or you want to go to France or whatever it might be. My dream last night, I saw that for where I wanted to get to in these particular places, it was going to be a little bit more time for me to get there. And I was walking. I wasn't flying, I wasn't running, I wasn't taking a car, I was walking there. And on that walk, I was seeing animals and I was seeing I was having these wonderful interactions with other people. We were in this hub, all right? And all of these people were migrating to different places. And I was figuring it out as I was having these conversations with these other beings. I was seeing some people that were my friends, and some people I haven't talked to in years. I've been doing Reiki on them in dream time or energy healing. So we are migrating, and we all have certain people in our soul group, but that can also shift. And that's a whole other video. That doesn't mean that it'll shift forever. It just means right now we're kind of all on our own journey, but we don't have to feel alone in it because all of us are making a shift. All of us are changing directions just slightly. And this is helping us to expand even more from what my guides are sharing. So it might be that, again, I talked about the foods earlier. We might be going through yet another shift saying, oh, okay, now it's time to try adding this back into my diet. I didn't do it for a while, I'm going to try this now, or getting rid of something. And again, it's the same thing with people. We might have really clicked with someone for the last year, and now it's not that we don't click with them, it's just that we're being pulled in a different direction. And it doesn't mean we just break those ties, so to speak. It just means we turn our focus somewhere else for a little bit. And we can still have our feelers in different areas. But for some of us, those feelers need to be kind of pulled back in just a little bit to help us gather our resources so that we're not distracted in subject matter, friendships that are not for our highest expansion right now. Because they may be going through something. This is what I'm being guided to share. A lot of people are going through something. So you might have a friend that you know you're always going to be friends with. I've got some of my best friends. We don't talk for a while. And then we talk and it's like we never didn't talk because they're always in my heart, right? They're always in my heart. I think about them a lot. But I choose, we have to recognize not to feel guilty or not to feel torn in all these directions. Because ultimately, the roads all lead back to those that are in the heart, right? And there are those that need our help right now who maybe have been doing fine. Maybe they've been your guide. You know, maybe it's your best friend who they've been helping you for a long time. And you might be in that space where you're feeling vulnerable or you're going through a healing or you've lost a loved one. And it's okay to just be with that and allow someone else to come say, hey, it's my turn to help pick up the pieces. How may I serve you? How can we assist one another? It's this migration. And I'm getting emotional again. This is part of us also recognizing when we need to ask for help, right? Listen to or when we need to offer it. Or sometimes we don't need to do either. We're just here to hold space in this now moment and kind of regroup. So this migrational pull, this migrational pattern, and I apologize if I run out of room. I think I might have about 8 minutes left. This migrational pull, this migrational pattern is requiring us to see past our past. So a lot of times we haven't tried these things before, or it's about trying something new. It's about picking up that book that you've always wanted to read, or you've been hearing about it 3 times. Now maybe it's time to give it a try. One of the things, and see why it's talking to you. Doesn't mean you have to read the whole book. I worked with a beautiful light worker last week, or week before last, and we were talking about what can we do to recognize the synchronicities that are coming in. And one of the things I do if I'm really just kind of scattered and meditation for some reason didn't work for me, I will open a book, I will pick a page, and I will just see. And a lot of my friends do this too. What does it say to me? What is that one line telling me right now? And I'll ask for guidance. Show me what it is that I'm missing here, or show me what it is I need to be focusing on. Boom, opening it up. Brings it back into, I am trying to connect with spirit in any way that I can in order to help me stay focused and grounded in my body so that I can be the best. Best is a word, by the way, that I want to just mention briefly, has been very misused. That's a whole other video. But it's not about being the best and the greatest and the most expansive. Again, recognizing am I doing this because of ego, which isn't a bad thing. Again, bad, good, more words that have been misused. Am I doing this for the right reasons? And again, right. Am I doing this because I feel that it's right? Or am I doing this because I think I should because I've always done the right thing before, and in my past, I believed this was the right thing. I just went off into like 5 different tangents. So that has a little bit to do with false synchronicity, or synchronicities that are really not, they're based on our habit patterns. And I could do 5 different videos on these different subjects. Whew. Let's wrap it up. So getting out of the entrapments of the mind and recognizing that we are creating from a completely new field. The old playing field, we are pulling through relics, so to speak. Yet we are in the process of relishing our new realizations. For in this, we relevate. We elevate, we reveal. More is able to come through because then we're able to let go, piece together what is salvageable, that is usable energy that can be repurposed and resourced, and get rid of the other stuff. And again, I'm being guided to talk about people. A lot of people are going through things that they've never gone through before. And they may not quite understand what's going on. That doesn't mean we drop them like a hot potato. It might mean that we allow them to work out what they need to work out. And it's always about offering space, but not pushing our directive onto them. We are not the directors of someone else's movie. We are our own maestro. We are and even though we're part of the symphony, and there's many, 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 many maestros, it isn't about a dictation or telling others what they should be doing. From my perspective, it's maybe about giving opportunities for other people to understand what it is that maybe has worked for you. And I call this the big sister syndrome because I'm a big sister, and for years, I still catch myself. How could you do that? Why would you do that? Haven't you learned by now? Haven't I told you 10 times? Or those of us that have told people over and over again something, either shared a piece of information or shared a teacher, and then all of a sudden out of the blue, that person goes, oh, I heard about Wayne Dyer the other day and I really like him. And I've been telling everybody about him. And we look at them and go, yeah, I told you that like 10 years ago, like 20 times. It doesn't matter. That is, we planted the seeds and watered them, or just planted the seeds and didn't water them. And if they grow, right, they grow. We don't necessarily need them to acknowledge us for being the one to assist them in their growth, because ultimately that's not what it's about. And that pulls it back into why are we doing what we're doing? What I said earlier, where I was all over the place. I'm wrapping it back into that, because if we're doing things for the right reason, right, or the wrong reason, again, it's getting out of this whole old word technology. All right, so I'm going to end on that note. And this has kind of been just a little energy update, light language share, because it really is a quantum field that we're dealing with right now. We're not many of us aren't used to operating in this high of a frequency. And we have a tendency to step back into old habit patterns to get us back down to a lower frequency. And I'm going to end on this because that's what we're used to playing in. So that's something else that's really important to kind of share. So if we fall back into bad habits again, bad. We could call them old. We could call them habits that don't keep us expanding or feeling really good. It's okay, but I'm being guided to share this is one of the reasons what I've seen is why. Because we're used to doing these certain things because that's the vibration we were at. And now we have all this help, but because we were in these old patterns, and I'm not saying we as in you listening to this, I'm just saying a lot of people, sometimes we fall back into that because it's more comfortable and it feels like, when we're in these higher energies. So it's like, oh man, I need to go eat that bag of potato chips, ground me. But that doesn't really work anymore. Doesn't feel good after we do it, right? So I'm just using that as an example. It's delicious at the time. So what are those habit patterns that keep us feeling comfortable at home? And I'm being guided to go back to the beginning of this conversation because it is about feeling comfortable in your home base, but not comfortable in the old belief pattern about what our comfort really is. Does that make sense? So we might have thought, well, I'm comfortable at base level, so I'm going to stay here. Because if I go here and I take that Band-Aid off of what I just cracked through, it's going to be really painful. But in reality, that Band-Aid's going to come off at some point. And we're being offered a lot of help from the higher energies to help us to heal that now, or to help us fill that gap or the missing piece, the blank, and make that connection. I'm hearing reconnect the synapses that have been blocked because sometimes of the old patterns that have kept us feeling comfortable. And again, relationships, foods, particular programs, not exercising, over-exercising. Everybody has their own vice, so to speak. And so really saying, is this what I need now? Is this really for my highest and greatest good? Or do I just believe that it is because that's what I used to believe? And again, I'm going to tie it up with that. So in love and light, namaste.